My friend, when a woman stops hearing from you, no calls, no texts, no effort, something very important begins to happen inside her. And it's not what most people think. She doesn't immediately fall apart, panic, or start plotting desperate ways to get your attention back. Not a woman who's in touch with herself, not a woman who has spent time building emotional depth. When a woman stops getting your contact, she doesn't react impulsively. She reflects. You see, silence from a man doesn't always trigger chaos in a woman. It often triggers clarity. And clarity is dangerous when it arrives in the heart of a woman who's been giving more than she's been receiving. In the beginning, she might wonder. She'll check her phone a few times. She'll revisit that last conversation. She'll even question if she said something wrong or missed a sign. But very quickly, that moment of wondering shifts. It shifts into realization, into awareness, into something that makes her straighten her spine and look at the situation with new eyes. She'll start asking real questions, not about you, but about herself. And it's in those quiet hours, when she's not busy over-explaining or trying to fix what isn't hers to fix, that she finally sees what's been going on. The silence doesn't break her. It breaks the illusion that she had to chase something that didn't choose her, that she had to prove herself worthy of attention, affection, or commitment. Now, here's the part people overlook. When a woman starts reflecting instead of reacting, her power begins to rise, slowly, quietly, and with absolute certainty. You won't see her post cryptic quotes or dramatic stories. You won't see her trying to trigger you or show off how happy she is. Because she doesn't need to perform. Her silence now is a response, not revenge. She goes inward, not because she's weak, but because that's where her strength lies, that's where her boundaries breathe. She starts remembering who she was before the confusion, before the attachment, before the emotional back and forth. And in that space, she doesn't chase. She checks in with herself. She doesn't try to figure out your silence anymore. She listens to what it revealed. Because silence, believe it or not, is a form of communication. And for a woman who knows her worth, your lack of words tells her everything she needs to hear. This is the part where she begins to emotionally detach, even if she still misses you, even if she still has feelings. Because reflection gives her the tools to stand on her own feet again, to stop negotiating for crumbs, to stop romanticizing the potential and start recognizing the pattern. When a woman goes quiet and leans into her reflection, it's not just about you disappearing. It's about her reappearing. You stopping contact might have sparked it, but make no mistake, she's the one deciding how the story ends. And here's the hard truth. Some men think their silence puts them in control. They believe stepping back gives them leverage, that she'll come running, apologizing, begging for connection. But that only works on a woman who hasn't yet woken up to her value, a woman still entangled in the cycle of pleasing and proving. But when you stop contacting a woman who has done the inner work, she doesn't spiral, she evolves. She becomes more centered, more clear, and in many cases, more free than she's been in a long time. She'll notice how peaceful her mind feels without waiting, how calm her heart becomes without mixed signals. And that peace, that's addictive, that's empowering, that's what makes her let go, not with resentment, but with relief. And by the time you think about reaching out again, you might not recognize her anymore, because she's no longer waiting. She's not angry. She's just not available. Emotionally, mentally, and energetically, she's moved on. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. So if you ever wonder what a woman does when you stop contacting her, understand this. She doesn't chase, she chooses. She chooses to step back into herself, to realign with her truth, to reflect on what she deserves and what she'll never tolerate again. And once she makes that choice, there's no need for closure. Her silence becomes the closure. her peace becomes the goodbye. Because the moment a woman stops reacting and starts reflecting is the moment you've already lost her. When a woman realizes you've gone quiet, when the messages stop, the calls fade, the energy disappears, she doesn't sit in that silence for long. Not a woman who knows herself, not a woman who has grown through heartbreak, disappointment, and all the false starts that came before you. Once the initial sting of absence passes, something remarkable happens inside her. She starts reclaiming her energy. That same energy she used to invest in trying to understand you. The energy she spent rereading messages, analyzing tone, questioning her words, wondering if she came on too strong or not strong enough. That effort, she pulls it back, and it doesn't come back in fragments. It comes back in full force. You see, a woman in love often gives generously, not just emotionally, but mentally and spiritually. She supports, she shows up, she pours in. But the moment she's met with silence, her heart whispers something simple and powerful. It's time to come home, back to herself, back to her peace, back to the things that make her feel full without needing anyone else to fill the gaps. She doesn't sit by the phone waiting. She starts making time for her passions again. She revisits her creativity, her goals, her growth. She might pick up that book she left half-read. She might dive deeper into her work, pour herself into her dreams, or even explore new ones. Because now, without distraction, her focus sharpens, and that's where the shift becomes undeniable. The woman you once had constant access to, the one who'd light up when your name appeared on her screen, she's busy now. But not in the way people pretend to be. She's genuinely occupied with building herself, with healing, with elevating, with rising. At first, she might still miss you. That's human. Habits take time to break. But the difference is, she doesn't let that missing pull her backwards. She lets it teach her, lets it remind her of what she truly wants in a connection: reciprocity, respect, consistency. And your absence becomes the contrast she needed to finally stop settling for less. This is where most men misunderstand her silence. They think her calm means she's waiting, that her lack of reaction means she's still emotionally invested. But they don't realize she's not holding back. She's moving forward slowly, steadily, powerfully, because when a woman reclaims her energy, everything changes. Her standards reset, her boundaries get clearer, her intuition speaks louder, and she listens. She starts asking deeper questions. What was I really holding on to? Was I in love with the person, or just the potential? Did I feel seen, or was I just hoping to be? These questions don't weaken her. They wake her up, and when a woman wakes up, really wakes up, she stops romanticizing confusion. She stops investing in uncertainty. She stops making space for anyone who makes her feel like she's hard to love. The silence you left behind becomes the space where she breathes again, where she learns that peace isn't just something to chase, it's something to protect, and the more she protects it, the less she tolerates anything that disrupts it. She becomes more radiant, more grounded. She's not performing, she's just being. And in that stillness, she finds parts of herself that she might have lost trying to be enough for someone who never showed up fully. She reclaims her time. She stops checking your page, stops rehashing conversations with her friends, stops wondering if you'll come back. Because truthfully, if silence is what it took for her to find herself again, she's not looking back. This is the woman you thought would wait. This is the woman you thought would fold when you pulled away. But instead of falling apart, she reinvested in herself, in her joy, in the quiet things that remind her she is whole, without validation, without attention, without breadcrumbs. And by the time you remember her, she's already moved forward, maybe not with someone new, maybe just deeper into her own becoming. But either way, the version of her who waited for your message doesn't live here anymore. So if you ever wonder what a woman does when you go silent, understand that silence doesn't pause her. It pushes her, not toward you, but toward everything she was meant to be before she got distracted trying to love someone who wasn't ready. Because once a woman reclaims her energy, she doesn't give it away carelessly again. When a woman notices you've pulled away, your texts slow down, your presence fades, the attention isn't the same. She won't always say something right away. But don't mistake her silence for blindness. She sees it, she feels it, and while she might not confront it immediately, she's already beginning to adjust. The truth is, a woman who values herself doesn't chase energy that's inconsistent. She doesn't throw herself at someone who's pulling back. She notices the shift, and instead of overcompensating, she mirrors it. That's not manipulation, that's self-preservation. At first, she may pause and ask herself if she's imagining things. She may give you the benefit of the doubt. She might think you're busy, going through something, needing space. But if the distance continues, if it becomes a pattern rather than a moment, something inside her clicks. She doesn't explode, she doesn't accuse, she simply begins to match your effort, your pace, your availability. Not to punish you, but to protect herself, because here's what most people overlook. When a woman loves, she gives. Freely, authentically, she doesn't keep score. She'll initiate conversations, plan time together, check in, uplift, support. But when she feels that effort isn't being returned, when it becomes obvious that she's the one holding the connection up, she'll stop holding it altogether. And it's not dramatic, there's no scene, she just quietly starts doing less. You don't text all day. She doesn't either. You stop asking questions, she stops opening up. You leave her wondering, she stops waiting for answers. She mirrors the energy not because she's cold, but because she's warm. And she's tired of offering that warmth to someone who doesn't seem to value it. She understands something very simple. Relationships don't work when one person is doing all the emotional lifting. So instead of begging for your attention, she lets go of the illusion that she has to earn it. Some men see this and think she's playing games. But it's not a game, it's a decision, a quiet, firm decision that says, if you're not choosing me, I won't force myself to stay. She might still care. She might still feel deeply, but she doesn't let those feelings override her dignity. That's when the dynamic changes. Not because she made a big announcement, but because you'll feel it. The woman who used to be available now takes longer to respond. The one who used to light up when you entered the room is now neutral. She's not angry, she's just aligned. And when a woman is aligned, she stops chasing what confuses her, and that shift, it's powerful. Because once she matches your distance, you'll start noticing the absence of everything you once took for granted. Her softness, her effort, her presence, her support, all those things that felt natural, steady, automatic, they go quiet. And by the time you realize she's no longer trying, it might be too late to earn her back. This is the thing about women with self-worth. They give you a chance. Sometimes more than one. They try to communicate, they try to understand, but once they see that you're okay with the distance, they stop trying to close the gap. Because no matter how much a woman cares, if she has to beg for attention or loyalty, she'll choose her peace over potential every time. She'll start investing that energy elsewhere, into her work, her passions, her well-being, her friendships. You'll see her glow differently, not because of someone else, but because she's done dimming her light for someone who couldn't see her. That's the kind of woman who doesn't need revenge. She doesn't need to make noise. Her silence is enough. Her absence is enough. Her shift in energy speaks louder than any argument ever could. And when she starts moving on, she doesn't do it to make you jealous or to prove anything. She does it because she finally understands her worth on a deeper level. She realizes that matching your distance isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of what no longer gives back. And the beautiful part is, when a woman learns to do this once, she never forgets how. She carries that strength with her into every future connection. She no longer entertains inconsistency. She no longer explains why she deserves consistency. She just embodies it. So if you think she's gone quiet, if you feel her pull away, it's not because she's playing hard to get. It's because she finally saw that you weren't trying hard to keep. And that's all she needed to know. There's something you need to understand about a woman who's emotionally intelligent, self-aware, and grounded in her own worth. When she decides to let go, she doesn't do it with chaos. She doesn't scream, she doesn't beg for explanations, and she doesn't try to force closure. She simply releases you, quietly, completely, and often permanently. A woman like that doesn't make a big production out of leaving. She doesn't need to, because her decision isn't impulsive. It's layered. It's built from every moment she felt dismissed, from every unanswered message, from every one-sided effort she gave in silence. So when you stop contacting her, when your absence becomes her new reality, she doesn't fight it. She listens to it. She accepts it. At first, she might have waited, hoped. She might have held on just a little longer, trying to convince herself that maybe it was just a rough patch, maybe you were overwhelmed, maybe there was still something left to salvage. But that grace period has a limit, and when that limit is reached, she doesn't explain it to you. She just shifts. Her energy changes. Her attachment begins to unravel. She starts untangling herself from the idea of you. And here's what's different about her good. You won't see it coming, because it doesn't happen in a text, or in a phone call, or in one dramatic moment. It happens quietly in her heart, little by little. One day she wakes up and the weight of waiting is heavier than the fear of walking away. That's when she chooses peace. That's when she lets go, not of just the connection, but of the hope that kept her holding on. She doesn't do this to get attention. She doesn't announce that she's done. She doesn't throw it in your face. She just withdraws her presence, the presence you may have gotten used to, the effort you didn't think twice about. She detaches without drama, because she doesn't need noise to validate her decision. Her growth is her validation. Her calm is her power. And while you might not notice it at first, you will. You'll notice the shift when she stops checking in. You'll feel the void when she stops showing up in small, thoughtful ways. The absence of her effort will echo louder than her presence ever did. And that's when it hits not just that she left, but that she didn't need to be asked twice. By the time you realize she's really gone, she's already begun rebuilding herself. She's not sitting around hoping you'll reach out. She's not replaying the past in her mind. She's outgrowing it. She's investing in her healing, in her purpose, in her joy. She's stepping into a version of herself that no longer seeks love where love wasn't freely given. And don't mistake that for bitterness. She's not angry. She's not vengeful. She's simply no longer available for inconsistency. No longer waiting for someone to choose her halfway. She's done chasing clarity where there's only confusion. She's learned that peace is more valuable than potential, and she's no longer compromising her emotional safety to keep a connection alive that only she was watering. She might still remember you, she might still carry some tenderness in her heart for what it was, but memory isn't a chain, and kindness isn't a contract. She knows the difference between love and attachment now. She knows that letting go doesn't mean she didn't care. It means she finally started caring about herself more. And here's the part that stings for some. You won't get a final chance to fix it. There won't be a dramatic reunion. Because once a woman truly lets go, she's already grieved the loss. She's already cried the tears, faced the doubts, wrestled with the ache. By the time you feel her absence, she's already made peace with it. So when a woman decides to walk away in silence, understand that silence isn't empty. It's full of everything she didn't say. It's full of boundaries, of lessons, of strength. It's not a punishment, it's a conclusion. One that doesn't need your agreement, your apology, or your attention. Because once a woman outgrows a connection that no longer feeds her soul, she doesn't go looking back. She doesn't keep doors half open. She closes them gently, locks them quietly, and walks away with her head high, not because she's heartless, but because she finally remembered how to love herself louder than your silence ever did. And once she makes that choice, there's nothing left to return to.